Captain Ray Carter was a man who had seen too much. Once a respected pilot in the Earth Federation, he had flown through wars, storms, and black holes. But after losing his family in a tragic accident, he left everything behind. No more orders, no more missions, just silence and stars. Now, he traveled alone in a small ship called the Nomad, searching for peace somewhere far from human space. His destination was a forgotten planet at the edge of the galaxy, a place called Varelia. It was not on most star maps. That's why he liked it. As his ship entered Varelia's orbit, a strange signal blinked on his screen. A distress beacon, weak but real. Ray frowned. Who could be here? He muttered. He followed the signal and landed near a thick jungle. The sky was purple, the ground covered in glowing plants. His boots touched the soil, and he felt something strange, like the planet was alive. He moved carefully, scanning the area. The signal was getting stronger. Suddenly he heard a sound, soft, like someone crying. Ray turned and saw a figure sitting by a crystal blue pond. It was a young girl, maybe 8 years old, with pale silver skin and glowing white hair. Her large eyes were full of tears, glowing like tiny stars. She looked up at him. Her voice was soft but clear. Please, human, make my mom smile again. Right. Be her husband. Ray froze. He looked around. Was this a joke? A trap? But the girl looked honest. Broken even. Who are you? Ray asked. My name is Lyra, she said, wiping her tears. My mom is very sad. Since my father died, she never smiled. The village says, only someone from Ni. The stars can help her. I'm not here to help anyone, Ray said. I'm just passing through. But you came. The stars brought you. I saw it in my dream, Lyra whispered. Ray wanted to leave. This wasn't his problem. He didn't belong here. But something about the girl reminded him of his own daughter, the one he had lost years ago. Before he could speak, a deep humming filled the air. The trees around them began to glow. From the shadows, figures appeared, tall, graceful, aliens with glowing robes and calm eyes. They surrounded Ray but didn't attack. An elder stepped forward. His voice was calm. You are not here by chance, traveler. The queen has waited long. Ray frowned. Queen. They led him through the forest to a hidden city. It was made of crystal towers and floating bridges, all shining with soft light. In the center stood a temple where the queen lived. Inside, Ray saw her, Queen Selah. She was beautiful, but her face was full of sorrow. Her eyes looked tired. She held herself like a warrior who had fought too many battles, and yet she stood tall, proud. Selah looked at Ray, her voice strong but cold. You were the one my daughter called, she said. I did not ask for this. Neither. Did I? Ray replied. Silence passed between them. Ray could feel the weight of her pain. He understood it. It carried the same kind inside. Lyra stood between them, looking up at her mother. Mom, he's kind. He listened to me, just talk to him. Selah closed her eyes for a moment, then turned away. He may stay one night. Then he must leave. Ray nodded. That was fine with him. He had no plans to stay longer. Later that night, Ray sat outside the temple. The stars above looked closer here, brighter. Lyra came and sat beside him. Thank you for not running away, she said. I don't know what I'm doing here, he replied honestly. She needs someone who understands pain, Lyra whispered. Not just love, understanding. Ray looked at the little girl. She was too young to speak like this. It's too wise for her age. Before he could reply, the ground trembled slightly. The forest lights flickered. Something was wrong. Ray stood up. What is that? Lyra looked toward the trees. They are watching, the guardians. The planet itself. It chooses who stays and who doesn't. Ray suddenly felt a strange presence, like a force pressing on his chest. A whisper in his mind, too soft to understand. Then it was gone. The girl looked at him and said quietly, If you want to help my mom, you'll have to prove yourself. This place tests everyone. Ray looked back at the temple, then at the stars. He had come here to escape his past, but maybe this planet was about to give him a new future. Asterisk Captain Ray Carter didn't sleep that night. The planet Varelia was too quiet. The sky outside his window was a soft, glowing violet. Strange lights floated through the air, like fireflies made of energy. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt something watching him, not with eyes, but with presence. In the morning, Lyra returned. She was holding a fruit that shimmered like glass. She offered it to Ray. "Eat it. Helps calm the heart," she said with a small smile. Ray took a bite. It was sweet, cold, and tasted like a mix of peach and snow. For a moment, his thoughts became still. He felt lighter. Then the queen arrived. Selah walked with silent power. Her long robe flowed like water behind her. She looked straight at Ray. No fear, no warmth, just control. "You are not a guest," she said. "You are a disturbance." Ray stood up slowly. "I didn't come to disturb anyone. Found a signal. I came to help." "Help." Selah's voice was sharp. "You think we need help from humans? We remember what your people did here?" Ray blinked. "I didn't know humans had even been here before." "They came 10 years ago," she said. "With weapons, with greed. My husband died saving our people." Silence fell between them. "I'm sorry," Ray said quietly. Selah didn't reply. She turned and walked deeper into the palace. But something in her eyes had changed. Just a flicker. Not forgiveness, but maybe curiosity. Later, Ray was taken to see the heart of the city. There were no machines here. Everything moved with energy from the planet. Floating stones, glowing rivers, flowers that opened when spoken to. The people didn't speak much, but they watched Ray. Some with fear, some with hope. Lyra walked beside him. Her voice was soft. "They think you're the one?" Ray frowned. "The one for what?" "The one who can fix her. Make her feel again." "I'm not a healer," Ray said. "I can't fix anyone." Lyra stopped walking. Her small hands formed fists. "You think I don't know that? Asking for magic? I just want my mother to laugh again, or even smile. Just once." Ray saw the pain behind her words. This little girl was carrying the weight of a whole world, and of a mother who had stopped living even while breathing. That night, Ray was invited to a ritual. He sat in a circle with the queen, her daughter, and the village elders. In the center was a small glowing flame. No firewood, no smoke, just a living light. The elder spoke. "This is the flame of memory. It shows the truth. Only those with nothing to hide may look into it." Ray was told to stare into the flame. At first he saw nothing. Then, slowly, images began to form, not from outside but from inside him. He saw his wife, his daughter. He saw the accident, the fire, the screams, the guilt. He looked away, breathing hard. "You carry deep wounds," the elder said. "But wounds do not mean weakness. They mean you survived." Queen Selah watched Ray carefully. Something in her gaze shifted again. Tiny crack in the armor. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will face the planet's trial. If you pass, we will speak again. If you fail, the forest will erase you." Ray didn't know what the trial was, but the way she said it, calm, final, made his blood run cold. He looked at Lyra, sitting quietly beside her mother. For her, he could try. As the gathering ended, the queen stood to leave. Just before stepping away, she paused, turned back, and said in a low voice, "Once, I believed the stars had abandoned us. But my daughter, she believes you came from them." Ray didn't answer. He just stared at the glowing flame, where a moment ago he had seen his daughter smiling. The sky above Varelia had changed. A silver mist moved slowly across the stars, circling the village like a living veil. The air felt heavier. The colors of the forest had deepened. Everything looked calm, but nothing felt safe. Captain Ray Carter stood at the edge of the jungle, waiting behind him. The queen watched without speaking. Her daughter Lyra held a small glowing stone in her hands. It pulsed with soft light, as if beating with her heartbeat. "This is the path of trials," said the village elder. You must enter alone. The forest will not attack your body, but it will touch your mind. Ray looked ahead.
Aye.
The trees were taller here, silent, dense. A faint path shimmered between them, like moonlight frozen on the ground. What if I fail? He asked. The elder did not smile. Then you become part of the forest. A shadow. A whisper. Forgotten, Ray took a breath. He had fought enemies in space, flown through enemy fire, and survived black hole storms. But this was different. This was personal. He stepped forward. The forest swallowed him in silence. At first, everything was quiet. Ray walked slowly. The path lit up with each step. The trees glowed softly, their leaves pulsing with energy. No animals, no sound, just breath. Then the forest shifted. The ground beneath his feet became soft, like ash. The air thickened. The trees seemed to lean closer. Suddenly, Ray wasn't in the forest anymore. He stood in his old home, Earth. His daughter ran across the room laughing. His wife was setting the table, smiling at him. It felt so real, so warm. Ray's hand reached out. But when he touched her, the smile vanished. The walls caught fire. The laughter turned to screams. Smoke filled his lungs. He fell to his knees. No, he whispered. Not again. The forest was showing him his worst memory, the one he buried deep inside. The night his family died, the accident, the flames. His failure, the voice came from nowhere. You believe you carry guilt? But what do you carry for others? Ray looked up. His daughter was gone. His wife disappeared into ash. He was alone in a burned ruin. Then the scene shifted again. He was back in the alien village, but it was in ruins now. The queen was crying. Lyra stood beside a grave. A name was written on the stone. Ray Carter. I trusted you, Lyra whispered, and you left us. Ray shook his head. No, that's not what I want. You're there, but that's what you fear, said the voice. Ray stepped back. The illusions faded. The forest returned, was sweating, his heart racing. This wasn't a test of strength. This was a test of the heart. He kept walking. He saw more visions. Pain, regret, fear. But he also saw her queen, Selah, standing in the dark, alone, holding a broken crown. Her eyes full of sorrow, not power. Ray moved closer. Why do you carry so much pain? She turned slowly. Because no one stayed.
Ow.
Ray reached out, not to save her, but to stand beside her. The vision faded. He was alone again. But the forest light grew warmer. Finally, he reached a clearing. A tree stood in the center, massive and glowing. Its bark shimmered like silver. Its branches were filled with floating orbs like memories waiting to be touched. Ray approached the tree. One orb drifted down into his hand. It showed Lyra waiting by the pond, hoping, believing. It showed Selah watching from a distance, trying not to hope, but hoping anyway. Ray spoke into the quiet air. I can't bring back the dead. I can't replace anyone. But I can stay. I can care. The tree pulsed gently. Then, without warning, a beam of light rose into the sky. Outside the forest, the queen and her people saw it. The elder smiled. He has passed. Ray walked out of the forest just as the sun began to rise. Lyra ran to him and hugged his leg tightly. You came back. He smiled and placed the glowing orb in her hand. It's yours, he said. A memory for your future. Selah stepped forward. For the first time, her voice was softer. You faced the forest. It means something. Ray looked into her eyes. I didn't do it to prove I'm worthy. I did it because someone asked me to help a mother smile again. For the first time, her lips twitched. Not a full smile, but almost asterisk. Captain Ray Carter slept for the first time in days, but his sleep did not bring peace. In his dream, he stood in a garden made of stars. The ground was soft like sand, glowing. Blue beneath his feet, flowers floated in the air, their petals opening and closing like they were breathing. In the center of the garden stood Queen Selah. But she wasn't a queen here. She was younger. Her crown was gone. Her eyes were full of light and laughter. Beside her stood a tall man with dark violet skin. He smiled gently at her, brushing a flower behind her ear. Sayla laughed. It was the first time Ray had heard it clear. Warm human, then the light cracked. The man fell. His chest torn open, his eyes empty. Stars screamed in Sayla. She broke. Ray tried to move, to stop it, to reach her, but the dream swallowed him whole. He woke up gasping. It was still dark outside. The stars above Varelia hung heavy. In the sky, like they were watching. Ray stepped out of his room. The air felt thick, electric, as if something old had just opened. Lyra was waiting for him. I saw it too, she whispered. The garden. You were there. Ray blinked. How? This planet doesn't give dreams. It gives truth. She took his hand and led him through the sleeping city. They walked past silent towers, across glowing bridges, and down a path. Hidden behind vines of silver, finally, they reached it. A gate of light opened before them. Inside was a garden, but this one was real. It didn't look like Earth. The flowers here had eyes. The vines whispered in forgotten voices. Some trees held memories in their bark, glowing faintly. This is the memory garden, Lyra said. It belongs to my mother. But she hasn't entered since the day my father died. Ray looked around. Every plant felt alive. Listening, waiting. She locked it away. Lyra continued. But now the garden is calling you. That means it wants you to see. Ray stepped forward. The moment his foot touched the path, the flowers turned toward him. Each one showed an image, flickers of memory. A child being born. A battle in the sky. A kiss beneath twin moons. Crown placed on a grieving woman's head. All Sayla's memories. Ray moved deeper. He touched a silver flower. A vision flashed. Saw, alone in her chamber, holding a piece of her husband's robe. She pressed it to her face, whispering a name over and over. I thought she was strong, Ray murmured. But she's just tired. She is strong, Lyra said softly. But even the strongest hearts break. They reached the center of the garden. A large crystal grew from the ground. Inside it, frozen in light, was the last memory. Goodbye. She had buried her husband beneath this garden. It was her way of holding on, her way of hiding. She never let go, Ray whispered. Then the queen arrived. Sayla stood at the edge of the garden. Silent, she looked at Ray. Her eyes had no anger today, only quiet sadness. I told you not to come here, she said. I didn't choose this, Ray replied. The garden did. She stepped forward slowly. Her hand reached out, brushing one of the glowing flowers. A tear slid down her cheek. I used to laugh here, she said. Before war, before loss, before I became a queen made of stone. Ray didn't try to comfort her, just stood beside her. I don't want to replace anyone, he said quietly. But maybe I can remind you what light feels like. She turned her head slightly, not facing him but not walking away. You think one man can fix a broken sun? No, Ray said. But even a candle can be enough in the dark. They stood there, in the middle of a garden made from grief. Memory and stars, and slowly, Sayla took his hand. Just once, just enough. The sky above Varelia cracked with thunder, but there were no clouds, just light. A sharp, unnatural flash ripped through the stars, followed by a low rumble that echoed across the jungle. It wasn't from the planet, it was from above, Captain. Ray Carter stood on the palace balcony, staring at the dark shape entering orbit. A human warship. It didn't come with greetings. It came with silence, and silence. In Ray's experience meant danger. He stepped back inside, where Queen Sayla waited, her face calm but her fingers tight around the edge of her robe. They found you, she said. Your people. They're not my people anymore, Ray replied, but they believe you are theirs. In the center of the village, glowing drums began to hum a warning. Varelia's shields, old and peaceful, slowly rose like petals of light around the city. The villagers moved quickly, not in panic, in preparation. It faced war before. Sayla turned to Ray. If they think you've joined us, they won't ask questions. They will strike. Ray's jaw clenched. Then I'll talk to them first. No, she said sharply. You don't speak for us. You speak for yourself, and your words may not matter. An hour later, the sky broke open. A transport ship dropped through the clouds, its engines roaring against the quiet jungle. It landed at the city's edge, just outside the shield dome. Ray walked toward it alone. He passed Lyra on the way. She held the glowing stone he gave her from the trial. Her voice was low. Will they take you away? Ray paused. I don't know. Will you let them? He looked at her, this strange, brave child who believed in him before he believed in himself. No, he said. The ship's doors opened. 4 armed officers stepped out, followed by a man Ray once knew well, Commander Jace Holloway, cold-eyed, steel-voiced. You're alive, Holloway said. Didn't expect that. Ray didn't smile. Why are you here? We picked up your signal, tracked your descent. Then we saw the shields, the alien tech. We got curious. I'm fine, no rescue needed. Holloway stepped closer. This planet's off map for a reason, Carter. You're in breach of about 9 protocols. Come back with us. Debrief. Let the science team study this place. Ray stood firm. This place isn't just tech. It's a home. You won't touch it. Holloway narrowed his eyes. What did they promise you? Power. A queen's bed. Ray didn't flinch. They didn't promise me anything. But they gave me something I forgot I needed. Purpose. A long silence. Then Holloway said, Final chance. Come back, or we consider you compromised. Back inside the palace, Sayla watched. Everything from a floating screen. Her face remained unreadable, but her hands trembled. Lyra stood beside her. Will he stay? Sayla didn't answer. She didn't know, because in her heart she feared something more than war. Hope night fell fast. The human ship remained in, the sky unmoving, watching. Ray sat alone near the garden. He thought of his wife, his daughter, the fire, the emptiness that followed. The years he spent running, he had always believed he was broken, but Varelia had shown him something else, that broken things can grow again if given a place. And a reason. Sayla found him. She didn't speak. She simply sat beside him. After a while, she whispered, Do you still want to leave? Ray looked up at the stars. No, he said, but staying might start a war. Then we fight differently. For a queen who doesn't smile, he teased. Sayla turned just slightly, and for the first time, she did. A small smile. It's barely there. But real. You made her smile, said a voice behind them. It was Lyra. Ray turned. Only a little. It's enough, Lyra said. Asterisk, the message came at dawn, not through words, through sound. A sharp pulse that rattled the crystals in the palace walls. A signal from the human warship above. A countdown 1 hour. If the queen did not surrender, access to the planet's core, and Ray Carter did not board the extraction shuttle, the city would be erased. No negotiation. No warning shots. Just fire. Captain Ray Carter stood in the Hall of Echoes. Surrounded by ancient symbols carved into the walls, the voices of past kings and queens of Varelia, preserved in glowing stone. Queen Sayla stood at the center, face lit only by the faint blue light under her feet. They've given their answer, she said. Now we must give ours. Ray was quiet. They won't bluff, he said. If I go with them, they might back off. Sayla turned slowly to face him. And when they return with more ships, more soldiers? What then? Do we give them everything, piece by piece? I'm not asking you to surrender, Ray said. I'm saying I should go. Lyra stepped forward. She had heard everything. No, she said sharply. You said you'd stay. Ray knelt down. I did, and I want to. But if I don't go, they'll burn this place. You, your mother, everyone. You're not like them, Lyra said. You're one of us now. Ray looked into her glowing eyes. This child had trusted him, welcomed him, even before he proved anything. And now she was asking him to do the one thing he had never done before: believe in himself. Above the city, the human warship powered its weapons inside its cold metal heart. Commander Holloway paced across the control deck. Carter made his choice, he said. We make ours. His crew hesitated. Are we really going to fire on civilians? One of them asked quietly. Holloway turned. They're not civilians. They're alien assets. And that planet is sitting on a core that could power Earth for a century. You can't let feelings stop progress. Back on Varelia, Ray stood on the edge of the shield dome. One step outside, and he'd be in range of the human pickup shuttle waiting in the clearing. The dome shimmered, giving him a clear view of the ship in the sky. He remembered Earth. The noise, the orders, the cold metals and colder goodbyes. Then he remembered the trial, the garden, the look on Sayla's face when she smiled. This world hadn't just accepted him, it had changed him, and for the first time in years. He didn't want to run. He turned around and walked back toward the palace. Inside, Sayla stood beside the ancient throne, her armor now gleaming beneath her robe. The light of Varelia's heart pulsed behind her, alive and aware. You came back, she said. Ray nodded. Let them come. She raised an eyebrow. You plan to fight a warship? Ray smiled faintly. No, but I've flown one. What happened next felt impossible. Ray entered the city's old command tower, unused for years. Sayla gave him access. 2. The controls linked to Varelia's skies, hidden defense systems. Built by her ancestors, crystals lit up around him as the tower awakened. Old memories. Old powers? Ray's fingers danced across alien controls like he was born to use them. Above, the human warship suddenly found itself locked, targeted by something it couldn't detect. A soft voice echoed across the void. To the ship in orbit. You are being watched. Your weapons are known. Your captain is warned. The voice wasn't human. It wasn't even Shet. It was the planet itself. Varelia had spoken. On the deck of the human ship, alarms blared. Every system began to shut down, not destroyed, but gently, turned off. The crew panicked. Holloway stood frozen. What is this? He shouted. Ray's voice came through the comms. Something you'll never understand. Living world that chose peace, and finally found someone to protect it. Back on the planet, Lyra ran to Ray as the lights dimmed and the sky calmed. You didn't leave? She whispered. Ray knelt and hugged her. I'm not going anywhere. Sayla stepped beside them. For a long time she didn't speak. Then she placed her hand on Ray's shoulder. You made your choice, she said softly. Ray looked up at her. No, I made our choice. The stars above Varelia were quiet again. The warship had left without a single shot fired, and silenced not by weapons but by something stronger. Queen Sayla, stood on the highest tower, looking out across her glowing city. The shield dome was gone. The skies were clear. The people had begun singing again, soft, wordless melodies that drifted like wind. But her heart was still heavy, not with fear, with hope. She didn't know what to do with it. Ray Carter sat alone near the crystal pond where he had first met. Lyra, the same spot where she had looked up at him with glowing eyes and said words he would never forget. Please, human, make my mom smile again. He didn't know if he had done that. Not fully. But something inside him had changed. He wasn't a pilot running from pain anymore. He was a man standing still, facing it. Lyra appeared quietly behind him, her steps light, her presence bright. She handed him a small flower. It was silver, and it pulsed with a slow glow. She used to wear these in her hair, Lyra said. Before the war, before everything. Ray held the flower gently. And now, she might wear one again, Lyra smiled. She's different since you came. I didn't do much, he said. You stayed, Lyra replied. Sometimes that's more than enough. Later that night, a celebration was held, not a royal one, Not loud or grand, just a fire in the center of the village. Songs, laughter, food, and stories shared under the stars. Ray stood beside Selah, not as a guest, but as something else. Not a king, not a soldier, just a man. She turned to him. "I once ruled through silence," she said. "Now silence feels too loud, Ray." Raised an eyebrow. "That's the price of healing. It makes you feel again." She looked at him deeply this time, and then, without warning, she laughed. It was soft, real. "You and a 4C. Ray stared at her for a moment, stunned. "That's it," he whispered. "What is?" "You smiled. You really smiled." Selah shook her head. "Don't make a moment into a miracle." "I'm not," he said. "But someone once asked me to make that happen. I think I just did." As the fire crackled and the songs rose, Ray stepped away for a moment. He looked up at the stars. He had flown across them for years, searching for something. Didn't know what. Now he did. He wasn't meant to escape the past. He was meant to grow from it, not erase the pain. But use it to protect something new, to love again, not in the way he had before, but in a way that made sense now. A small hand slipped into his. It was Lyra. She looked up at him, eyes glowing with calm. "You're my dad now." "Right." Ray didn't speak at first. His chest tightened, not with pain but peace. He nodded. Double quotes. "Yes, if you'll have me." She smiled and rested her head on his arm. Selah stood nearby watching them. Not as a queen tonight. Just a woman. With her daughter and a man who chose them both. And so the galaxy moved on. Ships flew. Stars burned. But on one quiet planet at the edge of everything, a broken man, grieving queen, and a tear-streaked girl had rewritten destiny. Not with power. Not with war. But with something far more rare. Understanding.